As the horror cliches play, The Killer Clown Slays and Killer Book Club, a Netflix original, directed by Carlos Alonso Oya, written by Carlos Garcia Miranda, and I can imagine that must have gotten just a tiny bit absolutely confusing on set. Carlos, we need you. Me, Carlos. He, Carlos. Who, Carlos? Nevertheless, there is a book club at a Spanish university somewhere. I don't know where. I don't really think it matters for the purposes of this particular movie. But they're 20-somethings at a university. They have a horror-themed book club where they have meetings in a boiler room. We see all of one meeting in this movie, by the way, but we know that because they tell us through dialogue. And since it's Spanish, if you don't speak Spanish, make sure you have the subtitles on, and you'll understand what the fuck is going on. So, they all either want to be writers or they love horror movies and horror stories and everything. There's Angela, who is the central character here. And she wrote a book a number of years ago, but now she has writer's block and she really wants to succeed. And then other wannabe writers, and there's romance and infighting. And to be quite honest, looking at how these characters interact with each other, it's actually amazing they were able to be in the same town or even postal code without basically wanting to destroy each other. So yeah, they talk about horror stories and all that. There's a certain incident that happens with another character. I'm keeping it as spoiler-free as possible. And then after that goes basically tits up. They decide to I Know What You Did Last Summer, the whole goddamn thing. Oh yeah, heaps and heaps and heaps of flesh taken off of I Know What You Did Last Summer, the Scream franchise, and various other slashers. But seemingly mere hours later, actually I think it's a bit of time, but nevertheless, they are suddenly part of this web of this story written by somebody called the Mad Clown. It's posted online, it's a story, and they are all involved, and they're all picked off gradually, but who is the Mad Clown? What is the reasoning behind this? Who's the real target? What is going on? Okay, so as far as Netflix originals from other countries, I can say this was certainly one of them. I'm not going to lie to you, while I appreciated the effort initially, this was very cliche-ridden and very boring, and while the acting, I think they tried the best they could. And again, I certainly appreciate trying to put, layers and have meta commentary and everything. The problem is none of it is really good, and the characters are very, very, very one-note, very one-dimensional, in some cases, half-dimensional. Character motivations just change. Certain things happen, and then we move on to this particular scene. None of the kills are particularly that great. The weapon's kind of all right, I'll say that much. But as somebody that has not really a fear of clowns, but doesn't really care for them, I wasn't scared by this clown mask at all. I mean, maybe that was the idea. Maybe it's supposed to be a comedy. But my thought process is, if it was a send-up of horror movies, it didn't really do that all that well. And if it was supposed to be horrifying as far as scary and everything and make you jump, it didn't really accomplish that either. The movie was just there, and I'm not saying don't watch it. There are certainly worse Netflix originals you can watch out there. But as far as anything that provides anything of substance, any meat of the matter, anything really that you can sink your teeth into, there isn't any of that either. I mean, if you enjoy watching Spanish 20-somethings act goofy and get picked off gradually in a slasher, I guess you could do worse, but it doesn't end up really providing anything original or good or even halfway decent. I didn't necessarily hate this movie, but I was just honestly aggressively bored while watching it. And also, it's super obvious. You can call who the goddamn, killer of this whole thing is within the first 10 goddamn minutes. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But maybe you can't. Maybe they're going to subvert your expectations. No, they pretty much just follow the same goddamn, train line and everything. It's just beat for beat for beat. It's like a cliche horror bingo card. Oh boy, I found this, and love interest and unexpected love interest and nerdy person and preponderance of backstory. And oh boy, I found something that I clearly called in the beginning. I got the wild card. Wild card, bitches. None of the kills are really all that good. It's a breezy 90 minutes, I'll say that much, but yeah, there's really nobody worth rooting for either, because even the people they tried to prop up as the heroes are kind of absolutely dicks that you really don't feel sorry for. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay. So, in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. There is this opening scene with a mother that's in a library or a giant, book area in a house. Who knows? Could have been a house, could have been a halfway house for all I goddamn know. But there's a girl that ends up burning the whole goddamn thing down. Burns her mother, covers everything in gas, including pages, and she's freaked out. And then we see on this computer screen, she will be the one to die. Who will be the one to die? So here are the book club members. I'm not going to mention any of the cast members, not because I have anything against them. It's just I've never heard of any of these people. I'm not familiar with Spanish film. Angela, Sarah, Nando, San Fernando, as it were, Ra, Coldo, Eva, Virginia, and Sebas. And you don't actually see who the person is that does the burning of the mother, by the way. So you know that has to factor into the whole goddamn deal. Angela was an author, wrote a book, all that. She's with Nando, but Nando even points out this guy Sebas actually likes her. Or Sebas, I don't actually really know what the proper pronunciation is. I apologize if I screwed any of this up. There's a lot of infight amongst the club, like, oh, well, you're this writer, or oh, you're saying I'm not a good writer, and this, and how the fuck did these people ever get together without wanting to just straight up slash each other's throats? I don't really think that people dressing up like clowns and, pranking others and chasing after them like they're going to kill them is funny. That's just me, and I enjoy a lot of dark humor. That's stuff that's implied on social media sites and everything, and people are doing this, so maybe they think it's all a goddamn joke. And then there's a class about recycled horror stories. And then a professor ends up hitting on Angela. Really hating on her, like forcibly. This is creepy. I needed a shower after that scene. That was pretty goddamn gross. And that was really out of nowhere. But it was just to set up the fact that now the group is going to get revenge. They put on clown masks and they have these weapons, which is like a pickaxe variation, almost. And then they end up targeting the professor, and the professor ends up getting hit in the face by one of them. And because he's all bloody and everything, Angela tries to save him, despite the fact that he assaulted her. He falls off, ends up impaled on the statue that's right there that really shouldn't have that thing there, just in case somebody drunkenly stumbles and conveniently falls on it. But now I know what you did last summer, the thing. They're like, nope, we can't do that. We're just going to swear the whole thing off. And then sometime later, Angela basically feels guilt and never went to the cops. And then the Mad Clown starts posting all this stuff and all the social media thing. And everybody's being targeted in particular chapters, including, people like Virginia, who we see various people picked off, and then some that we kind of don't see picked off, so it kind of tries to give you the idea that maybe multiple people could be killers, even though it's only obvious there are, in this case, two fucking choices. Angela starts seeing things. Maybe she's being driven goddamn mad. And then, looking at the rest of the notes here, they read the chapters, more of them die. That's basically it right there. It's not like Fear.com. It's not like Choose or Die. There's no malevolent influence. It's humans. One thing that I want to point out, though, is after people are picked off, the killer writes about their bodies or in their blood to be continued. But not in Spanish, in English. I'm not saying there aren't people that are bilingual over there in Spanish. Or in Spain, in Spanish. That's a country, isn't it? But that seemed a little bit weird. That seemed like an interesting choice, nevertheless. Then they are discussing who could possibly be the killer. Maybe you don't discuss this in a public forum. Just a thought. Maybe, and I joked, maybe it's the kid of the teacher. I was wrong about that. I did note that it probably had something to do with the beginning of the movie, and I was right about that. Research, that goes tits up because a couple people decide to go bang, because why the hell wouldn't you do that while a killer masked clown killer is on the loose? And someone from Angela's past, that's when I called it. Then they go to a rave in a basement. And there's this divide between Sebas and Nando. It's obvious this guy Sebas likes her being Angela. The comical blood splatters make me laugh, I will say that much. And then one of the members, Koldo, is doing a live, well, not a live stream, but like a YouTube type show or Twitch type show where he's talking about all the stuff going on. That's smart. Broadcast that shit. Yeah, good. Angela basically mentions that there was a girl named Alicia, and mentions this guy Sebas, who was somebody she was online friends with. Her mother was really cruel to her, and her mother basically forced her to read. She wanted her to be a writer, and Angela decided to use Alicia's life and twist things around everything and take her story. Heap her story, take heaps of chunks and everything and rip parts of the scalp out and use it as part of her story. And then her entire story. And then while Nando is being, targeted in a morgue, Sebas and Angela are sleeping together. That's good right there. Just cheat on your significant other that really hasn't done anything wrong. Really hasn't. And then then they go to a fair where there's going to be a book signing. All this stuff is happening rather quickly. They just throw shit at you. There's random attacks by this killers. The live streaming is happening at this fair, but then somebody's in a greenhouse. One of the girls is in the green. They just throw characters out there. I mean, I believe it was Sarah, if I recall correctly. But yeah, she's dead. She got killed. That's obviously what it means by dead. And then Koldo also got killed. So everybody's just getting offed. It's like this was edited with garden shears. Angela has to go out alone. Technically, she doesn't, but, horror movies. And then Eva is for Eva, Alvita Zane. And then she finds Sebas tied up. Oh my god, it's him. Yeah, it's him, because he's the killer. And then he attacks Nando. And why did he do it? Well, there are two types of writers. Those who free flow or those who plan everything out. And the reason is because he was online friends with Alicia, and then Angela caused this Alicia's life to go totally tits up, and she's dead. Except she's not. She was Virginia. See, because Angela never saw her, that's who she was. And then Nando's not dead, by the way, even though he got slashed in the gut. And they're Sebas and Alicia are talking about all these things and all this, and you got driven mad by your fear of clowns and all this. And she said, you forgot one thing. The guy you referred to as emo, Nando, is not dead. He hits Sebas and something, and he falls over onto the same goddamn statue, and the cleaners are like, damn it, we just cleaned that statue that the professor fell on, and fine, we'll do it again. And then Angela and Alicia end up in a basement area. And then Alicia gets set on fire with some of the worst fire effects I've seen in a while. And then it's at the fucking end. Then 1 year later, there's talks about sequels. And she's written another book, Angela has. And then there's another clown. And then there's an indication that it's going to be a sequel. Because Alicia is still alive somehow. Again, if it was a send-up, it didn't work. If it was supposed to be an actual horror movie straight up, it didn't work. Didn't work. I'm sorry. I'm not saying don't watch it, but it's just not very good. F. It gets an F. Agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charles Ritlin. I'll see you soon.